Hi there, beautiful people. So this is not a video about just one card, but in answer to some questions that were coming up when I was asking what people were interested in me sharing a little bit of, somebody wrote that they wanted to understand what's the tarot's role in our whole soul healing journey. And so I thought I'd make a very short, very basic video about this, just to share a little bit about what I'm about, what me sharing and teaching in the courses that I do is all about. And yeah, just to give a very basic ABC simple definition of how tarot works in this whole healing story. First of all, my very simple definition of healing is about our soul, which is that individualized consciousness that we relate to, finding a certain amount of wholeness, finding a connection with where our souls have come from our source, from our essence, from spirit, from God, from the light, from love, and this universal consciousness which we're wanting to feel a part of, and maybe consciously or unconsciously, but there's this yearning for our soul to find this wholeness again, a wholeness which is in quite stark contrast to the separation and the division that we feel with our individualized tendencies and habits and ways of thinking about who we actually are. So that's my very quick definition of what healing is. And so in this journey of very separate individualized consciousness, trying to find a connected source where we all come from, how does the tarot help in that? Well, a lot of people use the tarot to find the truth about divinative type questions and answers, and people will ask the tarot a question in order to get an answer about something that they don't know, and it does work. It does work quite well like that. It's not black and white. The answers you get aren't always exactly understandable, comprehensible, black and white, easy to figure out, but it does work like that. This is obviously not the way that I use the tarot mostly, but more for a self or a personal growth of consciousness, and in the healing journey that we are consciously or unconsciously all on in some way or another. This is like a spiritual journey because it's a journey of finding this oneness that we feel inside of us when we feel the emptiness, or we feel the lack, or when we feel unworthy, or when we feel that there's something missing, or we want and we desire something. And all of this comes from this essential core feeling of not having everything, being everything that we actually are, knowing our highest truth, finding our purpose, and all these stories, all of that emptiness inside of us which we try to fill with so many addictive patterns and programs, and we try to cover up and smooth over so that we don't feel the deep pain about separation. All of that is the contrast that actually motivates us and moves us to look to find something more, look to find a little bit more truth about who we are and how we can be a little bit more genuine and a little bit more authentic with ourselves. And that authenticity is found as we connect with our essence, or as we connect with our inner parts or our deeper truth. So the tarot for me is a map. It's a map which has all the lessons of human consciousness written in it, all the experiences that we can have in this life. They're all there to be seen, to be deciphered, to be discerned in some way or another. You can recognize every single conscious life lesson, big or small, in the tarot cards, in all of the major arcana especially. You can see different aspects of your programming, your consciousness, your subconscious self, and it's all there to be written in some sort of symbolic form. So when we ask the tarot questions, when we use the tarot to investigate, it becomes this process of taking our conscious mind, going inside and looking at parts of ourselves that we might not normally look at. The tarot is amazing for this because it provokes questions, it provokes answers as well, but it stimulates us to have what is this fundamental connection, which is the beginning of our healing process, which is the connection between what I call the conscious mind and the subconscious. So the subconscious mind is your automatic programming that's going on below the surface. It's like the programming of a computer, which we don't need to know or see in order to understand how to work the computer. And then on the screen, we've got the computer and we can type things and work programs, and that's our conscious mind. And that's what we understand about how the computer works. We know that if we push this button and click there and click here, it's going to do that and it's going to do this. We know a little bit about what's happening on the surface, but we don't understand the programming about why or how, or what is making that happen below the surface. And so the primary experience of all healing comes with the connection of understanding the programming, understanding ourselves, understanding what's going on below the surface, understanding the hidden nature of ourselves, and how we can see with our conscious thoughts, with our conscious mind, how we can see what is taking place on what previously or normally or naturally is on an unconscious level of ourselves. This is called a sacred marriage, bringing in the masculine and the feminine together and joining them together. So when our conscious mind is saying one thing, our subconscious is saying something else, we feel disharmony. We feel out of balance. We might want something, but we won't be able to find it. We might look for something, but it's always elusive to us and not really, it always seems to be out of reach. But when we align, when we understand the programming, and when we bring our conscious thoughts to look into our subconscious self, and we go a little bit deeper and we marry these two energies and we align these two levels of consciousness, and we correct our programming so that it's aligned with our conscious desires and our conscious needs and our awareness on a day-to-day basis, when we bring our consciousness from the past and make it more present and pertinent to this moment in time where we find ourselves to be. When we manage to do that, then we bring in harmony into our lives. We bring in alignment. We align our head with our hearts, with our emotions, with our actions, and we find that this harmony will give way to practices and experiences of self-love, and not just self-awareness, but we'll understand how to look after ourselves better. We'll understand how to work with ourselves better. We'll understand what we want and what we don't want, where our boundaries are and where they're not. We understand exactly who we are and what we're supposed to be doing, and with this alignment, we naturally slip into actions which are aligned with purpose, with our purpose, with a higher meaning. And so the third level of consciousness, which is known as the superconscious or the higher consciousness, it's there for us to tap into, but with the misalignment of our conscious and subconscious selves, it's very difficult to hear that voice. It's very difficult to see that truth. It's very difficult to recognize that higher voice and be perceptive or aware of it. And yet with this alignment, we find the higher thoughts, higher feelings, and deeper or more meaningful levels of truth coming into our lives, slipping into our thoughts, slipping into our daily life and our actions. And we can find the simple awareness and the faith to walk a path that's not defined by any old programs, but defined more by a present moment awareness, where the higher self or the superconscious or the angelic realm of guides is coming into our lives and being present in our awareness. This is where we find we are walking more aligned with our truth, more aligned with ourselves, and this is definitely going to feel more whole. It's definitely going to feel more complete. We're going to find less anxiety, less disharmony, more balance, more self-love, more honesty in our lives. And so the tarot works at provoking this primary connection between our conscious and subconscious self, so that we can understand and allow and learn to allow how to let more of that higher guidance in. And the cards will speak about these very specific aspects of ourself and aspects of the human consciousness very directly and very symbolically and very obviously in a plethora of different ways. And so it's not just, there's not just one way of looking at this interaction between, or this conversation that we're having between one level of ourselves and another, but there's many ways to see it, and there's many ways to experience it too. But with this tool, the tarot is, and it's like a map. Why would we not have like a map of all the questions and answers that could ever be asked and that could ever be answered in all of the lessons that we will ever want to learn in life, and have it in one little packet that can, obviously it's not, it's a bit of a work, or it's a bit of a self-discovery to be able to understand how to decipher and to relate to it. But that's the process. The process is embracing, deciphering, discovering, and understanding how to discern what the answers are that are coming from within, coming from on the outside. And the cards do a fantastic job at inspiring, instigating, pushing us to question more and find more truth inside of ourselves, giving way to harmony, love, amazingness, and maybe one day enlightenment, whatever that means. Have a fantastic day. Love you all.